All right. Okay, guys, you're probably not going to want to watch me redo all that, and I don't need to. So far, you saw what happened, right? So now that we're done with the spin rewriter, we've got the two articles up here to bother with, right? And so I don't even need this anymore. I really don't. So I'm just going to close that out. Okay, I can save it, because I didn't want to really screw with anything. And the white space, I could care less about the white space, so I'm just going to leave that be. Okay, so here we go. We got our original article and original article. Watch this. And I'm going to view and view. But do you know what? First it did this one with SRW1. Then it did this one with SRW 501 because we entered them in that order. And so the newest one's on top. So I actually want to just open these in new tabs. Like let me open this in a new tab. Okay. And I could either open that in a new tab or just open it because I only have both articles. So I'll just open it. Okay. I got my 1 here. I got my 501 there. Get it? Whatever. So now, watch this. I'm going to select all. Just right click, select all, right click, copy. See? Now, I'm going to come back here. Now, I can't paste it in here anywhere. I've got to put it on a new page. Okay, that's not a new page. That's not a new page, but sheet 2 is a new page. I'll double click. Remember our old double click routine? Paste in the cell. Okay. And then guess what? Where does the next article go? Right next to it. Right here. Okay. Let's go get it. Right click in the box. Don't right click up here and select all, because if you even if you tried, it's gonna look really, really weird. Okay. If I try to select all up here, it's just gonna look really weird. Okay. Like that. Don't want to do that. So right click, select all. I want to get the stuff in the box. Right click, copy. Come back here, double click on B1, paste. Okay. And boom. Okay. Now I've got my whole website back in here, all spun, but I need to convert it back to MOWG format. So I've got to hit two buttons. One of them, guess what it is? Convert from spinner syntax. So the one with the big red X on it. Okay, we don't want to convert to spinner syntax. It's already in spinner syntax. We want to convert from spinner syntax. Okay, wow. There, it just did. Now it's back to the way it was before. Might be hard to see, but it is. Okay. And there it is. It doesn't have a lot of spin on it, but then, very often it's not that way. We ought to clean it up on our own. That'd be the idea. And if you're thinking, why didn't this? I remember that had a lot of variations. It's because of the thesaurus, right? I could come through and add more if I want. I can come through and decide what I want to keep. And for those who wonder, if you know how to hold down your control key, if you go, there are ones I do want and ones I don't, watch this. See how we have a format sheet and you can hit drop? Watch this. I can click something. I can hold down my control key. Let's say I wanted to drop that and drop that and drop that and drop that, 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 and drop that and drop that and drop that and drop that. Whatever, I'm just being random, but let's say I took the time to study it and made those decisions. Format sheet, drop. It rolls the whole thing up properly for me. No empty spaces because you cannot have an empty space in the array in Moji. If you do this, the whole thing will break. Okay, so I'm going to drop that. All right, I unspun it, converted from spinner syntax. Now the last thing I obviously have to do, I still have my alphanumerics that need to get converted back into coding. Okay, so now that I'm done converting from spinner syntax, I'm going to do alphanumerics to varchar coding. Back. And guess what? It's all back to normal again. Okay, there it is. Now we're only gonna try to create like 500 pages for this website, probably less, maybe less. And again, if I get my South Bend together as one word for some reason, I can just take care of that right now, right? So like, oh, that's perfect, copy, except that isn't. Paste. I want to replace South Bend without a space to South Bend with a space, replace all. Wow, okay, there we go. It's all done now. All right, so little changes you can make along the way. All right. Now that I got that far, I could go through and start cleaning it up. And now might be a good time if I wanted to. And you see how the words run together because the cells are too close to each other, and so the words just sort of get stuck behind the lines, right? Say I can't read that. What's the easiest way to do that? You highlight everything. That's what this is for. Double click and click off. Okay. And then you can continue because you can read everything. So you can easily go through and make decisions, and you can read it. You can say, do I like what I see? Is your full, complete service solution support service? So you kind of learn how to read in 3D in a way. Guys who are good at spinning get very used to sort of seeing the combinations pop up in front of their eyes. Okay, that's if you want to clean it up a lot. For some of you, you don't even care. You don't really care. As long as it's passable, reasonable, as long as Google likes it and humans can sort of read it, you're going to be fine. And that's all you wanted. And if a guy paid you a little bit of money to create a bunch of pages for his site, then there you go. I mean, everything's a question of the cost, right? The time you put into it. Doing a var sheet properly at this point probably takes half an hour, maybe an hour. So you would charge for that half an hour to maybe an hour of your time, right? If you were going to put that kind of time into it. Most websites, the reason some are more expensive than others is it's a question of time. All right, let's say I was done with that. I could already say I'm basically finished. Okay, what would I do now? I'll show you. I'm going to hit header generator. And that creates my header and saves my pages and everything. There and there, and I can close. Close and save, whatever. You don't even need to save anymore, but it's okay. Let me get out of here because I'm done with that. Okay. Let me show you where we're at. We now have an index page and a var sheet. I don't even need this new Excel worksheet anymore. I can get rid of it. Okay. I'm almost able to get rid of the base. Remember, the base didn't have the Moji content, but not quite yet. I need the base. Here's why. If we look at the index, okay, it saved that whole section on the inside, but of course it didn't save anything else. I only Moji'd the section on the inside, right? I got to put this back in the page. So how do I do that? It's really easy. Edit this one, okay, and then edit this one too. And again, let's go find what we needed. We needed to go from, and we already put the white space in there to see it clearly, didn't we? So let's go take a good look. Okay, here it is. There's my white space, and it starts with that. Welcome to South Bend Landscaping. That's it. I'm going to highlight that whole area from here to the bottom of it. Aha, there it is, the end of the paragraph before the division tag ends. Highlight the whole thing, shift-click, for instance, and delete. Now what do I have? No content. The content bar is empty. This is the beginning of the content bar and the end of the content bar, and it's empty. Well, what do you think goes in there? That's why I opened the other one, the index.html, so I can select all of this coding. This is why I don't want to open the front end. I want to open the back end. I want to look at the coding because I'm going coding to coding, not print to coding. I need to go coding to coding. Copy. Or it won't copy the coding, it'll only copy the print. I gotta put the coding in the coding. Here we go. In the white space anywhere, paste. Okay. Now, what else did I need? And think about it. I needed my page title and my meta description, right? Now, we kind of said the first sentence should go there, for example, and then the opening could go here or anything else. I'm just showing you a way to satisfy the criteria, right? I mean, I'll show strategy later, okay? But you could say this. You could say, welcome to South Bend Landscaping, so I'll copy that. And that is legitimate. It's not enough variability. I'm not happy with it, but it's enough to do the job and for you to see how this works, okay? There it is. That one is done, and I got a little space after that before the pipe, just for niceness. I like that. That's easier to read. Okay. And then I want this, Moji 2. Okay. I want the meta description to change too, or else I'm cutting myself short. Google cannot index web pages that have the same titles and meta descriptions. You want a lot of variability in your page title and a lot of variability in your meta description. Again, we'll get into that pretty soon. Right now, I'm just showing you how this works. Look at that. There's a sentence. South Bend Landscaping is your blankety blankety blank and landscape blankety blank blank period. That's excellent. It continues. as long as I don't go over like 20 words, I'll probably be happy. Okay, so that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You know what? I'll do both sentences. Okay, like 24, 25 words is about the max that you can really put in there. If you put more, it's just not going to show it anyway, and it's going to think it's a little too much. But that way I get a lot of variability in that. So that really helps my page title have more variability than it did. Now we haven't dealt with strategy yet. We should create a var for South Bend so we can do cities surrounding South Bend. South Bend, and we don't want to do it that way. We don't want to say welcome to Mishawaka Landscaping because the company is called South Bend Landscaping and it's called South Bend Landscaping. But if we're going to say we service South Bend, then wherever that is, we can make that into a variable like any of these are and make it South Bend, Mishawaka, Elkhart, Goshen, name some other cities around there. There's 10 or 12 that a typical landscaper will be willing to service. Okay? And that gives us 10 to 12 times as many keywords. Get it? Okay? All right, there we go. So I got my title, I got my description, and I got my content. I am closing. Boom. Okay? Now, think about that. I just made my base the real page now, right? Because that's where I copied everything back in. It was so much easier to do it that way. Look at that. Welcome to South Bend Landscaping. See how it's reading from the cascading style sheet? And so all of this looks good. It looks the way I wanted it to look. That's an extra space. I can kill it. See how that's var 219? And then it says for over 20 years. Well, how would I get rid of that if that's one space too many? Well, that's easy. What was that var again? 219 was it? Yeah, 219. So if I go searching for it, like 219, and I may as well put the percentage sign that's after it to be really exact. Find next. Well, there it is. And that's the one. And so if I go a little further, I'll see what happened. I wound up with an extra paragraph in there, and I really just want a break tag. Okay? I happen to know what I'm doing, and I can do that. So I can save that. I can refresh. And there, makes more sense now. I could still pull it down if I want. All right, so anyway, it continues and everything else, okay? Actually, I shouldn't have put the break tag in there at all, should I? Just in case anyone didn't see a change. 219% time, boom. Oh, whoops, find next, okay. All right, then what? Then right here, just kill the break tag, because it is 2 paragraph tags. Right? And so it will put line spacing in by itself. Boom. All right, there we go. Now it looks right. Right there to there. Okay. All right, so it goes on, and then it's done, right? That's the point. That's what I wanted. That's what I got. All right. Now, how do I know that that's correct? And I can get rid of the index now. Delete. Boom. I've got a base file and a var sheet. That's all I really need. This other thing I had open all this time, I don't even need it anymore. Okay, that's my index file that I copied from. All I needed was an HTML file and a var sheet. That's really all you need for Moji. You need an HTML page that looks right when you look at it, that links correctly to everything when you click it. Okay. If a YouTube video won't play, it's because it's on your computer and your computer's blocking the script. When you put it on a website, it will play. You know, unless the coding's off, but usually it's fine if you copied it. Okay. And you need the vars in the page. These are all those variables. Okay, that's how we spin. And you need the corresponding match. This, which holds all the information for each of those things. We've been talking about var 219. If I wanted to, I could go see what that is. Needs, requirements, demands, and necessities. Those are pretty reasonable. Okay, just like all these are pretty reasonable. Okay, even without me doing any extra work. If I wanted to do extra work right now, what could I do? I could open them side by side. Okay? I could open this and start reading it like decoding, literally like decoding. Welcome to South Bend Landscaping is welcome, and this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, but welcome does, so we'll relax. You know what? None of those make sense, do they? Okay? I could say greetings to, but that doesn't make sense either. That sounds ridiculous. So let me just go here, format sheet, and drop those because they're wrong. Okay? And I can keep going. I can literally add in new ones, take out ones I don't like. Okay? That's it. Now, if you want to go changing whole vars, you got to match them on both sides. If you take a var out of one side, you got to take it out of the other. Okay. All right. How do I know my pages are good? Well, I've got an HTML file and a CSV file. That's all I need. Like I said, everything beyond that is just creating the URL structure and uploading it. Let me at least check my work so far. Actually, there's one more part. We have to do the menu generator. But let me check my work so far. I'm going to open Moji Pro. That's the other side of Moji. So far, we've been working inside the toolbar. And guess what you see here? It's asking for an HTML file path. That's the HTML file path. It's asking for a vars file path. That's the vars file path, the CSV file. Let me just click in here, and it lets me search. Desktop, Edge, HTML file. It only shows me HTML files. Boom. Vars, click. And now that it got in there once, and it's going in there again, so that has to be the right one. Now, I'm just going to put anything in here. I know that it's supposed to be T2H.find-locally.com. Okay. Either you put a subdomain like T2H. Okay. Or if it's not a subdomain, if this is www. Then you have to add a project folder, like, and make sure it doesn't already exist on the website. Make sure it's a new folder that isn't there, right? Because you're going to be putting pages in there. So this could be your new service option, okay? It could be anything like that. That works. Just one slash. This side of the house is the domain. This side of the house is the project folder, okay? And you don't have to have the www. You do have to have the HTTP : okay? And again, so it's one or the other, but not both. If you try to put in both, if I try to go like this, T2H. Okay, and then continue, Moji will stop me and say you can't have both. Okay, so you got to choose, just so I know. Now, I'm going to do like 100 pages. I'm not going to upload it anywhere because I don't have any information for that just yet, so I'm going to leave that off. I'm going to go to my next page. I'm not even going to try to save it yet. I'm just testing it the way it is now. I'm not done building everything the way I want. And it's giving me all the var possibilities, and it created this new file. I don't really mess with this file much. I mess with this one, right? And this was created by Moji Pro in order to bridge. It understands how to see this and this by creating this guy in the middle. Generally speaking, you'll leave it alone. Only if you decide to take a var out or add a new var in, then you have to take it out or add it in here also, because they have to match on the vars. Okay, they have to match. Okay, anyway, let me just continue. I'm going to pretend I'm building a URL. So it's already going to be domain.com/folder. Then what's assumed is there's another slash here for more stuff. Okay, like the name of a file, or slash some other folder slash the name of a file, or slash folder slash folder slash folder slash the name of a file, anything like that. Okay, that's how it always works. That's how URLs work. They start with a domain name, continues with either a page or a folder, which continues with a page or a folder, a page or a folder, a page or a folder, until it finally gets to a page of some kind, something .doc, something .html, .php, anything else. All right, so we're going to continue the formatting of this thing, but we're going to base it on our vars. So we're going to say I want a little of this var, a little of that var idea, some different just keyword related, and you can choose whatever you want from the entire stack of all the vars that are in the vars file. It's showing you the first one in each line. But when it creates the URLs, it will choose randomly from each of those columns to build those folder structures. So you're going to wind up with a really cool, dense URL breakdown that covers all of your pages. All right, so I can just start. I'm just going to like put some in, okay? And I probably want to put in my ID just to make sure that it doesn't overwrite some of the same pages, okay? And I can put these in any order. Like I can move one down, I can move one up, okay? And I can start putting stuff in here. Usually put in dashes to combine words. Surrounding dash business. then say I want that to be a folder and I don't want it to continue. If I continue, I continue. Surrounding dash business dash some number. The first page will be page 0. That's your reference page. The next page will be page 1. The next page will be page 2. The next page will be... So this is like surrounding business 1 dash begins home. Okay, this doesn't make any sense as a URL structure, but it's legal. It'll work. Okay. Now, if I want folders in here somewhere, like surrounding dash business folder, pretend that was my first folder, surrounding business. And then I want another folder inside of it. Put a backslash. Okay. Why a backslash? That's the opposite of online, right? If I double click in here, I can change it. Online, it looks like this. But when you do the URL breakdown, it stores the pages on your computer, so start that way, because that's how it looks on your computer, right? Like if I click here and I look, that's backslashes the whole way. When you go online, they're flipped over, all right? That's literally how it works, okay? And then maybe I want that to be a folder, and the folder just to be a number. So I can put a slash here. And then this is going to be my page name, begins dash home, and if you don't put anything in here, what do you think it is? By default, it's .html, okay? Or, and you don't put that in there, it's just going to end with it by default. Or, it depends on what this was. Did you put .html here? Or .php? Or .doc? Or anything except for .txt? That's a technical hurdle. We can't do that. No .txt allowed. And you can't just be willy-nilly about it. I can't do this because my whole page is HTML anyway, and the coding inside of it has no PHP coding at all. It's just .html, so I'm going to stick with .html. But with Moji, yes, you can create PHP pages, ASP pages, anything based on Notepad, XML pages, okay? And that DOC. So you can create just a bunch of Word doc articles in .doc. Don't make it DOCX. You can't go like that, right? Because that's too complex, right? But .doc is based on Notepad, okay? .xml is based on Notepad. .php is based on Notepad, okay? .htm is based on Notepad, and SHTML for server-side includes is based on Notepad. Any of those work. So you can do pages like that. You can make these SHTML, PHP, XML, whatever you want. And MOWG them if it makes any sense to you, if you know what you're doing with it. Okay. All right. I'm just going to get back to this. All right. So that's my .html in this case. And I'm just not going to put anything in there. You never put anything in the bottom box, really. You could. If I put dash special offer, you know, or dash special, okay, I mean, I could do it. Offer, what do you think is going to happen then? It's going to be dash home dash special dash offer .html or .php or .doc or whatever it is. Okay, so yeah, you could put anything in here, and you can actually do that with any of these. Surrounding dash the dash business. So this is always going to be the word the. That word will change depending on whatever the variables were in that column. That word will change depending on the variables in that column, each of these. Okay, but that's static. That's the word the. I hand typed it in this column, so that will never change. That'll be the. It could be surrounding the business or circumscribing the company, you know, but it'll be the. And then there's this. Maybe I want this to be item number 0. So I want this to be like item 0. All right, fine. Item dash. That way you can have item 0, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, and that looks good. Or it could be special offer number 0. It could be offer 0. You can do that. Okay. Dash 0 slash begins dash home .html. Okay. Now I need to save keywords or this thing won't work. This is the final point. I got to choose 1 or 2 or 3. That's it. 1, 2, or 3. There's no more. I'm just going to be like random about it and go like that. Okay. Now I need a keywords file name, but one thing I want to point out, this should look wrong because I've got a box highlighted like that, but the whole box is highlighted in blue still. There's a problem with the coding there. If you continue, it can lose that box focus. I need to take the focus off the box now that I clicked it. I just click off of it. I mean, you could click anywhere. You can click here. You can click here. You can click anywhere. You can click here. Just get the focus off the boxes you check marked. You can click here if you want. Okay. I usually click off to remind myself. It should look weird if one of these is highlighted. Any of this should look weird. So just click off. Okay. There you go. Keywords file name. I just need to create a folder called keys or something in my folder. You know, like keys or keywords or whatever. So I'm just going to highlight that. And I'm going to make a new folder inside of that by highlighting it. See how it did it? So I call it keys. See how that happened? You saw it appear even. Okay. So there you go. It's done. Right? Don't even bother saving it. We're still testing. Okay? And this isn't real anyway. And I don't have all the information. It will not save properly unless you fill everything out. You got to fill this out before it'll save correctly. Okay? By the way, if this looks like a lot of work, it isn't. All this time I've been talking about it, I've been describing what it is so that we can see it. By the way, here's where it puts the pages when it first creates them. Well, then we know how to get there and see what the pages look like before we set this thing to upload pages to a website, right? Then it'll produce the pages and then upload them. Get it? All right. We're not going to do that part right now, though. Okay, I set this for 100 files. I could set this for 49 files. I could set this for 12 files. Okay. Now, there's some caveats to that. There's such a thing as you can put the file count too low, and Moji will have to override your decision and make more pages because you had a bigger menu, for instance. It must create a page for every menu item, or you're going to have broken links. So you don't need to know anything about that because if you set 12 and it does 24, just let it. That's all you need to know. So it's dummy proof. You don't have to worry about making a mistake. It'll just deal with it. Moji's got a lot of error proofing built in, so that's helpful. It'll tell you if something is not matched. That's helpful. Okay, here we go. I created some BS URL structure real quick. Let me delete it all. Now that I explained it, just to remind you how hard this is. Okay, I clicked and grabbed, typed something in for a domain name and a folder name, put something here. Okay, let me do 100 again. Got nothing here. Next. Okay, I can go back and make sure that stays the same. Next. And I just put some stuff in because I'm testing. And then my ID's now at the bottom because I put it back. And I want to like move it up somewhere maybe. And I'm just going to go like ////, right? Because I'm just doing a dummy check. Keyword, take the focus off. Go find myself a keywords folder, edge keys. That's good. Boom. Now, go. Process. Now, there it goes. It's running. Guess what that means? You did it right. It means you did it right. I could go back. See this? I could hit browse. Well, I wouldn't want to do it here. It's true. Let me just do it normally. Computer. C drive. Moji Pro. Runs. That's where it puts all this stuff. Date timestamp folder. Don't worry. It's doing that when you don't use FTP. You just will. What is the time? 1925. So this 1924 and 51 seconds must be correct. If I look. Ooh, I've got what I was setting up, which is these bogus folder names, right? Welcome dash and a number, right? Welcome 02345. But it's doing it. Get it? Now if I click in one, it's got more. Complete support service lawn. Full service lawn. Complete support service, I guess, lawn. That's the way that went. And then just some word.html because that's really all the room I gave it. That was the end of a folder and that's all the room I gave it for a file name. Something.html, company, firm, whatever, right? Well, let's take a look though at it. Okay? Because yeah, we can come out with a better URL structure. Guess what? This is whatever it's supposed to say. Unfortunately, I didn't give it any vars for the page title. I can look at the page source to see. The description, Southbound Landscape, your complete support service lawn and landscape firm. We give personalized support service and budget-friendly rates. Guess what? It's getting the same verbiage here, like firm, that relates to the stuff it's using here. Complete support service lawn firm. Complete support service lawn and landscape firm. What's my point? The URL verbiage it's using the same choices of words in here that it was to build that page. So the URL wording matches the page wording. That's awesome. Google likes that. Okay? It likes to highlight those words. It likes to see relationships there. All your pages are going to have that. Okay? Welcome to South Bend Landscaping. And you can read it. South Bend Landscaping is your complete support service lawn and landscape firm. We give personalized support service with a bunch of friendly rates. Over our 19 years of experience in yard landscaping business, we introduce your demand to its ultimate possible result. Some of this should be a little cleaner, I would think. I would care. I would have gone through the VAR sheet and cleaned it up a little more, but it's unnecessary. Google will index this. Google will say it's good enough. Google doesn't care if the English is not perfect because so many people don't speak native English anyway. Google's interested in saying it's close enough, it's readable, and it introduces important things that keep getting introduced on all the pages. The links are not broken. They stay on the website, and they all work. I can go to any of these pages, water accents or whatever it is, and there it goes, right to the water accents page, right where it's supposed to go. And I can read it. And this is not spun. This is the right page, the one I really want people to read if they're interested in water features, right? So all these pages work to gather all my keyword combinations. Now, obviously, what we haven't talked about is infusing a keyword in some sensible ways. We haven't talked about the menu generator. We should talk a little bit more about creating a good URL structure. And then we should talk about FTP. That way we can upload these pages. The funny thing is, this has actually not been a lot of work. It's just been a lot of talk to help you understand what we're doing. Okay? And for those of you who've been around MOWG long enough, you already know everything you need to know. You know how to do the rest. You know how to create the menu. You know where to put it in the page to make it useful. You know how to create the link to the sitemap. You know how to apply the FTP. You know how to put it up. So this is all a review for guys who've been around. Okay? For the rest of you, you see how well this is coming out? You didn't have to deal with broken anything. You didn't have broken links. You didn't have strange broken backgrounds and images and stuff, did you? No, it's all connected and working smoothly. We are really on our way. We just created 100 pages in this folder here, 100 different pages. The URL structure needs some work, but the pages are fine. We can go to these pages and get pages that these are unique enough for Google to say yes to, the majority of them anyway. They'll show up for a lot of keyword combinations that relate to the business and really help this business do well. And there's nothing spammy about this if it's done right, okay? Especially if we get the page title to the point where it's variable, the meta description is already variable, and we build in the useful geo-targeting and keyword combinations that we want so that we can say, servicing, the greater Bangor, Maine shouldn't be Bangor, Maine anymore, South Bend Landscaping. So it should be serving the greater, and we can make that a variable. Mishawaka, Indiana area, South Bend, Indiana area, Elkhart, Indiana area, Goshen, Indiana area. Page by page will be different, and so on. And we use all of our different terms, whether it's landscaping, landscape design, landscape installation, landscape maintenance. It could be a landscape company. I don't see it up here anywhere. We could make one of those a variable, or we could make somewhere where it says one thing a variable in here and throw in those vars, right? A lot of you guys, if you're familiar with spinning, then all you need to know is that we do vertical spinning, you could say. Okay? And I can delete these now because I'm done with them. Okay? And I can close this because I'll rebuild it when I'm finished. I'm not finished yet. But take a look. This is spinning. It's spinning. It's the same thing that you already do with the spinner. It's just sideways. When you do things in the spinner, you're used to seeing it vertically. We just spin, or I'm sorry, horizontally. We just spin vertically. Okay, that's all this is spinning vertically. Okay, there's nothing unusual about that. And whenever it chooses one of these variables for something on the page, like var 30, then wherever it sees var 30 on the page, if there's more than one of these, like we copied it in the meta description, so you already know you can use vars more than once on the HTML side. Okay, then, but whenever this page goes to fill this in, it's going to fill it in with one word choice, like that one, maybe solution. See how we have our support solution down, or support service is where it was getting that choice from. And wherever there's a var 30 on this page, when it makes that next page, it's going to put in support service. And then wherever else there's a var 30, it'll be support service again. If there's another var 30, it'll be support service again. Okay. Now that's good. That means we can actually control our keyword density. See, if it just said support service here, service there, solution there, well, what if we had like 50 choices in here? You wouldn't get any keyword density, because when it finds var 30 up here, if it just chose one of these words, and then later it finds var 30 in a headline or something, but it just chooses a different word, and then on the same page it finds var 30 again and chooses some other word, you would get no keyword density. They'd be different words. Now we want the words to be the same, and we want them to match the URL. So we can control keyword density by deciding how many times we want to use something like var 30 on the page. How many times we want to use var 41 on the page. What do you think we're really going to care about the most? Two columns that we're going to make sure to really pay attention to. One's going to be for geo-targets. The other's going to be for the main keyword. And once we build that in, the geo-target and the main keyword, we'll build it in. We'll just create new vars and build it in. Then we have complete control over the keywords on the pages, right? And the keyword density. Okay? And we can make sure to use, we'll make those really deep. How many can you put in? Well, you can put in 1,000. Into any one of these columns, you could have 1,000 variables. Okay? Nothing about this sheet's going to stop you from doing that. Okay? Now, that means that we can make our titles and our meta descriptions as varied as we want, because we can come out with so many combinations. Anyone ever question what's the possible number of pages you can, the number of unique pages you can create? Well, you got to have like 30% density. But take a look. Here's the way the math physically works. It is 1 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 4 times 4 times 4. Well, I'm sorry, 3 times this. Oh, man. Now you suddenly realize, well, you could wind up with like millions and millions and millions of combinations. This is like 1 raised to the 2, raised to the 3, raised to the 3, raised to the 3, and onward across the whole thing. Yes, that's right. Okay. Now, 2 caveats. 1, Google doesn't want all the combinations. What it really wants is going to amount to like 1% of that. Okay? But that's okay. That number is massively large. And even if you just choose randomly, you're going to wind up with unique pages. The chances of getting too similar is too small. Here's the other caveat. The wider you build, the deeper you try to build. Okay? So you just aim for more. Don't just stick with 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Okay. The other one is don't have huge freezes in here. Don't like the first half of a sentence in here, an alternate first half sentence, an alternate first half sentence, an alternate first half sentence, and then an alternate second half. Or, you know, a second half sentence, alternate second half, alternate second half. I've seen that. There's something called Shingle count. Google counts the number of words that show up next to each other on page after page after page, and it does Shingle counts. And when it sees like 4, 5, 6 words repeat over and over again, and it notices many of them, page by page by page, that's too much. Okay, too many of those is too much. That's why people who are trying to spin half sentences to make it easier on you, they're actually screwing it up. Those usually don't work. Okay. But you can put some more variability into anything you see, and we can add in more vars. Okay. All right, I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. We're like 2/3 of the way, and without even doing a menu, I mean, that much, if you know how to create the sitemap got generated, by the way. Moji did make the sitemap. You want to see it? Oh, you can. I deleted it. It's in here, right? All right, let's restore something just so you can see it. I don't know which of these I was in, but okay, just so you can see it. We'll continue in the next topic in a minute. If I go to Moji Pro, runs, okay. If I look at one of these things, like the one I did, and I look at the bottom, there's a sitemap link and a sitemap.txt. Guess what the txt is going to be for? Google Webmasters. So we can submit our sitemap to Google Webmasters. It's got all those links. See? Findlocally.com/ oh, there's our project folder, the new service option. from the first page of Moji Pro where we had to hand type in this and decide whether we wanted a subdomain or a project folder, and we did. And then, like I said, that's where it continues by putting the slash, and then you recognize this, welcome-id column, slash, some other folder we created, slash, and then we had the one word page, right? Isn't that funny? But there you go. You can actually recognize how the URLs got built and why they're unique and different. You can see why. Even if the words are too similar, because of the ID column, we're not overwriting the same pages. Okay? Get it? Sometimes people don't use the ID column and then they try to create 100 pages and they wind up with like, I don't know, 42. And they got created successfully and they say, how can that be? How can it be I said 100, it gave me 42, and it said they're created successfully? Well, the answer is some of those pages overwrote other of those pages because they had the same wording. It had too much of the same wording, okay, because you don't put many vars in here. You only had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vars, 6 variables. If you had like an average of 5 things you could choose from, that's like 30 different wording combinations. Well, okay, then you can't have 100 different wording combinations when you only have 30. That's where this comes in handy to make sure the URL is going to be different than the next URL, different than the next URL, different than the next URL. And from there, you're relying on the uniqueness of the page title and the meta description to interest Google. It's okay if all the wording is the same except for the numbers. What's important is that the pages themselves have different wording and that they focus on keyword combinations, that they say something different in the page title and the meta description. Okay? And that there's no broken links. All right? So it's possible to ask for 100 pages and get 200. All right? And those were created successfully, but that's a larger number. You can expect that. But if you ask for 100 and you got 42, then that's why you didn't have a number in here. Okay? If you add the ID column, which is highly recommended, then your pages will not overwrite each other if you have too few vars in the URL. Okay? And that's why we also wind up with really long ones sometimes. You like folder slash folder slash folder slash kind of long URL name. That is just so we have different wording combinations. Do you need to go that far? No. You could do like a geo target. This could be about South Bend or Mishawaka or whatever. And this could be a keyword. Well, if you add 10 cities times 50 keywords, well, that's 500. 10 times 50 is 500 combinations for this folder. Okay, 500 that you could have created. So then this only has to be like a page now. This could just be full service support yard-business.html. So this could just be a page. It doesn't even need to be another folder. As long as you can have 500 of these, you don't need another folder. The only reason we do folder names like this is so Google can recognize where a concept begins and where a concept ends, because that's one way to name a folder, conceptually. So keyword optimized or conceptually. So it's good to have combinations like that. This could be seen as a keyword concept. That can be seen as another keyword concept. And then the name of the page can be related to the keyword too. So you could focus on that. Somebody said, what if we want to use the same geo-target in a folder and in the name of the page? The answer is you can only use vars once as you do the URL breakdown, but you could make a copy of one of these so that you can use it twice, and we just need to use it on the HTML page itself sensibly, right? Because like I said, if we add, sorry, that's in the recycle bin. Right here. If we add a var here, we've got to add it in here. If we have nowhere else to add it, we want to hide it in here. We need it here. So like for our URL breakdown, we can use it twice, but we don't want to use it twice in here. Then here's a trick. Add it. Just so you know. See the keywords, meta keywords tag up here? Google doesn't use that thing anymore for any significant reason. It doesn't mean much anymore. For anyone. This is like old-fashioned. They may as well take it out. You may as well not even have it. But you know what's cool about it? Those words are invisible. Everything in there, everything between those two double quotes there for the keywords is invisible. I can say, hi there, comma, you will never buy this thing. you know, and that's okay because Google doesn't care. It's not going to read this. Not really. And humans will not see it. It's just a useless thing to do. What's good though is your new var. Var, some new number that wasn't there before, and there it is. So your extra word will show up in here. It'll be invisible on the page and Google won't care, but that allowed you to use var 345 in the var sheet. And don't forget, if you add it here, add it there. And that means that you can use both vars in your URL breakdown if you really want to focus on a certain word and you want it to show up in a folder name and a file name. Okay? And you can do that with as many vars as you want. You can have another var in here, and another var in here, and another var in here. You can just line them right up. Var, comma, var, comma, var, comma, var, comma, var. None of them will be visible. You could have 100. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Who would do that? But you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 for whatever reason. And there you go. All right, I'm going to bust it off, give you guys a chance to take a break and breathe some of that in, understand how close you are. We're going to come back, and the next thing we're going to do is the menu column, which will kind of lead us back into URLs and understanding URLs. The only other thing left after that is understanding FTP so that you can upload the pages. Ain't that cool? So we're actually most of the way done with this. Everything that was ever hard about Moji for the past 5.5 years has gotten quite easy. All right, I might even do just a roundup again. When I start the next video, sure enough, I'm going to start from the beginning. Just to drive you nuts, but also so you can really take account on how fast it is and how much ground we covered. Okay? It's cool, right? It is cool, right? Because you can do really well with this. You can create project after project after project. Like I tell you, like 20 minutes, you can create these projects one after the next. If you were doing them for clients for $100 each, you made a site and said, hey man, maybe it'll make some money. But look, it's a pretty nice site, right? It could take you like an hour. And that's $100 an hour you're earning. You get it? I mean, really, it is that powerful. So just follow along. Okay.